erase this. The empirical rule says if you have really nice behaving data, nice behaving data means that it looks noun-shaped and symmetric. So if I have data that looks nice and symmetric, and noun-shaped, and if the data kind of looks like this, up and down, this gives a little bit more precision. The empirical rule says that to have well-behaved, symmetric, noun-shaped data, I can go one standard deviation to the left and one to the right. In that range here, you're going to find a total of 68% of your data, 34 and 34, because presume everything is symmetric. Now, if I go out 2 to the left and 2 to the right, the empirical rule says I'll find 95% of my data. So does the empirical rule apply with our data? Matus says yes. How did you figure that out? That's quickly, Matus.
Well, we didn't have like a little shape. Most of our data was very close together. We only had 2 outside out of bounds to what you were showing over here.
Yeah, so I think Matus has got the right idea. Our data kind of looked like it was noun-shaped. It wasn't perfect, right? But it kind of looked like it had a noun shape to it. And you just told me that if I go out 2 standard deviations, 1, 2, what's the only data piece that was outside of that? 61. What's the only data piece that's over here? 104. So Chebyshev says you're going to have at least 75% of your data. Well, I've got 28 out of 30 pieces in that interval, don't I? What percentage is 28 out of 30? Somebody tell me.
93.
How much? 93. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty good, isn't it? What would be the next check I'd look at? So let's go to only 1 to the left and 1 to the right. If I only go to 1 to the left and 1 to the right, what would the boundary be here if I just go 1 to the left? It would be 81.9 minus 9.233. So somebody give me this number here if I go 1 to the left and 1 to the right. Everybody see what I asked?
72.67.
What is it, Mark?
72.67.
72. 72.7. And what is it if I go 1 to the right? 91 point what, Kylie? 91.1, we'll say. 91.1. All right, now, if the empirical rule applies, how much of my data should I find here? 68%, right? So I should find 68% here. What's 68% of 30? How many pieces of data should I find in there?
20.4.
20.4, Andrew? So I should find about 20 pieces of data in this range. Somebody tell me if it worked. How many pieces of our data are in that range?
22.
How many is it?
22.
22. So looking pretty good, isn't it? It looks like the empirical rule kind of applies to our data. And again, all of the clues were our data isn't perfectly symmetric or symmetric. It looks pretty good. We went out 1 standard deviation to the left and 1 to the right. We found more than 68%, right? 68 would have been 20.4, we found 22 pieces of data, so most of it concentrated right in the middle. We went out 2 standard deviations and we found 93%, right? We had 28 out of 30. So really, I think that in our case, the empirical rule also applies. That make sense, everybody? Now that's all based on kind of giving you some dimensions, which are the mean and the standard deviation. We did all of that work with these kind of 2 dimensions that built our distribution. Okay, let's take a break. Come on back at 20.